Today, we will talk on price escalation in construction contracts. I am KM Soni, former ADG CPWD New Delhi. Basically, price escalation is the compensation paid for the inflation of the rates of the materials and labor both. So we know that in any project, construction projects, materials and labor are required. And if the prices of the materials and labor go up, then if the contractor is compensated for that, that amount is the price escalation amount. But we should understand that it does not include the contractor profit and overheads. In construction contracts, we always pay the contractor's profit and overheads. But on price escalation, we are not paying the contractor profit and overheads. If we see the price escalation formulae, then they may be different for different works. However, each organization has generally standardized the formulae. So, if the organization is dealing with the buildings, they have their own formulae. If they are dealing with roads and highways, they have their own formulae. If they are executing power plants, then they have their own formulae. Basic principle is same that the materials, major materials for the major materials they have the indices, and other materials they club in one group. So because in the buildings, roads, and power plants, etc., we have the different major items. They will not be same for the buildings or the roads. So the formulae are also a little different. But basic philosophy is that price escalation is paid on the materials. Materials will include major materials and whatever balance materials are there, because we cannot calculate the price escalation for all the materials, because in a construction project we are using large number of materials. So major materials are considered and other materials are clubbed in one group. So we can say that other materials. And then there is a labor component. So we also pay price escalation. We calculate price escalation on labor component also. So that's why we are paying on materials and labor both. And this price escalation is paid when the payment of materials have been made for the same. It means the bill for the materials has been prepared, and it means work has been completed. So after completion of work, we pay and the escalation. So escalation is paid on the used or to be used materials, and then also on the wages of the workers. Thus, the price escalation is calculated when payment is made or immediately after the payment is made. Generally, it is done quarter wise. For each quarter, we pay price escalation. So what we pay for both materials and labor. And one thing is important, that it is paid as per the agreement provisions. So the formula will be given in the agreement or the contract, and accordingly these are to be calculated. Price escalation, if we see the formulas, then in the formulae which are detailed out in the agreement or the contract, there is a provision of base rates normally taken on the rates of the last date of submission of tender. So the rates may not be available. So what we do, we in place of rates, the indices are taken for the last date of submission of tender. If the date of the submission of tender has been extended, then it will be taken last date of the extension. So final submission of tender, that is the date of the base rates. So on that date, the indices will be considered, And the indices will also be considered to consider the rate of materials when the work has been done for that quarter. So of that quarter, the rates are to be considered. So the indices of that quarter will be considered. And once we know the indices of the base date, and we also know the indices of the period when the work has been done. So if we find out the percentage, then we can find out the percentage increase in the rates. So that percentage increase can be multiplied to the work done. That is the principle of the price escalation. Sometimes it may be there that the work has been done in some particular quarter, but the payment has not been made. So that way, that because price escalation is for the compensation, so what is done is that the work done is considered in the quarter, whether it is paid or not, or it means whenever it is measured, then that date is or quarter is considered for the payment, even though there may be dispute on that. But as per the contract or agreement, generally, the date of measurement is considered. We have discussed about the indices, and the indices are published for the various materials based on the rates of particular period. So either this is taken from the Government of India departments, Ministry of Commerce and Industries, or the indices are considered from the indices issued by the organization itself. And principle is same, that the indices will be considered for the date on which the tenders were submitted, because it is considered that the contractor is aware of the prices of that day, and he is not aware of the prices of the subsequent period. So based on that, this is paid. For example, if you see here, then this is a formula: VW is equal to W into 1 by 100, that is percentage. W is the work component, and then Cp into C1, Ci minus C0 upon C0. So Ci minus C0 is basically the cost component, say, of cement. Then this is the difference of the indices. If we divide by the indices of initial date of submission of the tender, the date of submission of tender, this will be worked out on percentage basis. If we multiply the component of the cement being used in the work, then this, and multiply with the work cost, then this will give the cost of the price escalation. Similarly, for labor, the component is added, and then other materials, the component is added. Similarly, we can add for electrical materials, we can add for fuel, we can add for steel, we can add for basically bitumen, whatever materials are required, major materials, we can include here. So this formula will be little different for the roads or the power projects or the buildings, but basic principle is same. So here everything is quite clear. That is CIM and C0 and CP, etc. Similarly of labor component. But W, what the cost of work is there, that can be discussed. What is this W? So W is considered 0.85 into C plus F plus I minus J. 0.85 is here because 15% is considered for the contractor profit and overheads. So 15% has been deducted. So this becomes, factor becomes 0.85, because as we discussed, the contractor profit and overhead, they are excluded from the price escalation. Inside the bracket, you see this is C. C is basically A minus B. So A is the value of work done up to date in the last say quarter, and B is the value of work done in the previous quarter. So if we are paying the price escalation between these two quarters, then A minus B becomes the work cost. And then F is D minus E. Here D and D are the values of secured advance given and recovered during the quarters. So idea is that one secured advance on materials which have been brought at site, on that it has been given. So it means the contractor has paid for the materials. So that indices will be taken at that time. So that's why this secured advance factor is considered as D minus E. Then I is the factor for advance payment. Sometimes what happens, the payment is made on advance basis without measurement, without all measurements. So when without measurements it has been done, then this is called work has been done, but then without measurement the work bill has been paid. So again this advance will be G minus S. So same analogy, that G and the value of the advance in this quarter, and H is the advance of the uh, last quarter and recovered accordingly. Then J is the amount paid for the variation on market rates. So minus, it is done in minus. You can see J is in minus because there will be no price escalation, because this is the amount of the variation for which market rates have already been adopted. And you know that market rates are adopted for the period when work is being carried out. So that's why this is deducted from the total work done, cost of the total work. So basically, price escalation clause, but is if it is available in the contract, this will be the process how the price escalation is calculated. But in some of the contracts, price escalation clause may not be applicable. It maybe that it is already written in the contract that price escalation clause is not applicable. Then this will not be applicable. So the contractor has to load his bid accordingly, considering the possible increase inflation of rates of the materials and labor. Then price escalation may not be applicable in some contracts. The schedule period is less than certain period. Some organizations, suppose they write that the scheduled completion period is less than 18 months or one, then this price escalation clause will not be applicable. Or some organization write that even if the period is 6 months or 180 days, then this clause of price escalation for the materials will not be applicable. Only they pay the price escalation of the wages. Whatever statutory increase is there, only that is paid based on the submission of the documents that the amount has been paid to the workers. Then that's like reimbursement of the wages. Then what should be the price escalation in extended period of completion? Sometimes we give the EOT, so it means extension of time is given, EOT is given. So if in the contract it is included that the price escalation will be payable as per during the extended period of completion also, if that is extended without liquidated damages or without levy of compensation, then it will be paid. So price escalation is payable as per the contract conditions. Price escalation is generally payable during extended period in most of the contracts, particularly when this levy is without levy of compensation or without liquidated damages. But one thing is there, that this provision of the price escalation clause must be there in the contract. If you continue with this, then price escalation is not payable in extended period if it is with levy of compensation or with the liquidated damages. It means if the employer has levied the liquidated damage, that means that breach of contract is from the contractor side, so they don't pay the price escalation. Price escalation is not payable if price escalation clause does not exist in the contract. And also, if there is no clause, then also generally employer is not paying the price escalation. Generally, or we can say then they don't pay. Uh, in some arbitration contracts, if the breach is from the employer and EOT is given without levy of compensation, price escalation has been awarded, even if price escalation clause is not applicable. So if price escalation is clause is not applicable, or is not available, and the EOT has been granted by the employer because of the hindrances of the employer side, or we can say that because of the breach of the contract by the employer, then in many arbitration cases, price escalation has been awarded, uh, even if the price escalation clause is not applicable. So basically, generally, this is awarded only when the contractor goes to the litigation. Otherwise, in general, no employer is giving the price escalation in such case when there is no clause available in the contract. So that's all today. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.